Welcome back to the Timeless Wisdom Podcast on the Monkey Mind Mechanics channel. If you're fascinated by the new Earth, the law of attraction, or shifting to that 5D quantum reality, buckle up, because today we're diving deep into the work of Dolores Cannon,
Oh, yeah.
and specifically her captivating concept of the three waves of volunteers.
It's a fascinating framework, isn't it, for understanding not just our individual journeys, but the larger shifts happening on our planet right now.
Right. So for those new to Dolores Cannon, she wasn't your average hypnotherapist.
No,
This
no.
woman spent over 40 years developing a technique that goes beyond past lives.
Right.
She called it reaching the somnambulistic level of trance.
It's like reaching a state where the everyday mind is quiet and a deeper, more universal wisdom can speak through.
And through this technique, she discovered something truly remarkable. People who claimed to have never lived on Earth before.
Wow.
They felt drawn to be here like volunteers on a mission to help humanity evolve.
That's right. And what's even more intriguing is that Cannon didn't just stumble upon a few isolated cases.
Right.
She consistently encountered these volunteers throughout her decades of research.
And get this, she categorized them into three distinct waves.
Oh, wow.
Each arriving at a different time with a unique purpose.
Cannon believed that Earth was, and still is, in a critical transition phase,
Okay.
what she called ascension. This is the process of our planet shifting to a higher vibration and frequency. These volunteers, she believed, are here to help us navigate this shift and raise our collective consciousness.
Okay, this is where it gets really mind-bending.
Okay.
According to Cannon, the first wave started showing up around the end of World War II. Imagine being born into that energy, a world recovering from global conflict.
Many of these first waivers felt deeply out of place. They didn't understand Earth's negativity and often struggled to connect with the prevailing societal norms. Some even experienced suicidal thoughts, overwhelmed by the darkness they perceived.
It's like they were born with a different operating system, trying to function in a world that wasn't quite compatible. Now, I know many of you listening have probably felt that sense of not belonging, of seeing the world differently. Cannon's work suggests that this feeling could be a sign that you're a first-wave volunteer, an old soul trying to adapt to Earth's dense energy.
Yeah, it's a powerful insight for those who've always felt like they were born in the wrong time or place.
Right.
It offers a framework for understanding their profound sense of difference.
So while those first waivers were paving the way, a new generation was arriving. The second wave, born in the 60s and 70s, they tend to be more adaptable, blending into society, while still holding on to their unique energetic signature.
They're often drawn to healing modalities, teaching, or any profession where they can subtly influence positive change. They might not be as outwardly alien as the first wave, but they're still here to raise the vibration.
Like they're the undercover agents of light,
Uh-huh.
working behind the scenes to shift the collective consciousness.
Exactly, and it's not always about grand gestures. Sometimes it's about those quiet acts of kindness, the moments of connection, the simple ways we radiate love and compassion.
It makes you realize that we all have the potential to be a part of this shift, whether we identify as a volunteer or not. Each act of love, each choice to align with our highest selves, adds to the momentum of Earth's ascension.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's not about waiting for someone else to save us. It's about recognizing that we're all co-creating this new reality together.
And that brings us to the third wave, the new children who started arriving in the 1980s and continue to be born today. They're often described as highly sensitive, intuitive, and technologically savvy.
It seemed to have a natural understanding of concepts like interconnectedness and higher consciousness that older generations might struggle to grasp.
It's like they've come pre-programmed for a world that operates on a higher frequency.
Exactly. Cannon believed they were born with their DNA already upgraded for the new Earth.
Now here's a mind-blowing detail. According to Cannon, Earth's ascension didn't start at some arbitrary date in the future. She believed it actually began around 2003.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not a sudden shift, but a gradual process of raising the planet's vibration. And these waves of volunteers are helping to facilitate this transition.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground already, but I'm feeling a bit like Alice down the rabbit hole. We're talking about volunteers from other realms, Earth ascending to a higher dimension. It's all very fascinating, but I need to ground this a bit.
You're right. It's important to connect these concepts back to our everyday reality. So how can understanding these three waves help you, the modern seeker, navigate your world today? That's what we'll delve into next. Welcome back to the Timeless Wisdom Podcast. We're unraveling the mysteries of Dolores Cannon's three waves of volunteers.
My mind is still buzzing from our last conversation about these volunteers and their roles in Earth's ascension.
It's a powerful framework for understanding not only the shifts happening on our planet, but also our own personal journeys.
Right. Especially that idea that Earth's ascension is already underway. It's not some distant event. It's happening now. And we talked about how Recognizing which wave we resonate with can give us clues about our soul's purpose.
Exactly. It can help us make sense of our experiences, our strengths, and even our struggles.
Speaking of struggles, we touched on how the first wave, those born around the mid-20th century, often felt a deep sense of alienation, like they didn't quite belong here.
Cannon found that many of these first wavers experienced a profound disconnect between their inner knowing and the outer world. Imagine being born into a time when these concepts weren't as openly discussed as they are today.
It must have been incredibly isolating for them. They were truly pioneers, paving the way for a more spiritually aware society.
It's important to note that Cannon didn't consider any wave superior to another. Each wave has its own unique strengths and challenges, and they're all essential for the success of Earth's ascension.
That makes sense. It's like we're all part of a grand orchestra, each playing our own instrument, contributing to the harmony of the whole.
And just like an orchestra needs a variety of instruments to create a beautiful symphony, humanity needs the diversity of these three waves to navigate these changing times.
So let's dive a bit deeper into the characteristics of each wave. We've talked about how first wavers often felt like outsiders. What other insights did Cannon glean about their experiences?
She found that many first wavers were deeply sensitive to violence, injustice, and negativity. They often retreated into nature or creative pursuits as a way to escape the harshness of the world.
That resonates with me. I've always felt a deep connection to nature, a sense of peace and belonging that I don't always find in human interactions. Maybe that's a sign of my first wave energy.
It's certainly possible, and even if you don't identify as a first wave volunteer, that desire to connect with nature, to find solace in its beauty and wisdom, is a reflection of the growing awareness of our interconnectedness with all of life.
It's like we're starting to remember that we're not separate from nature, but a part of it.
Exactly, and that realization is a key aspect of the shift in consciousness that's happening on our planet.
Okay, so we've explored some of the challenges faced by first wavers. What about their strengths? What unique gifts do they bring to the table?
Cannon observed that first wavers often possess a deep inner strength, a resilience that allowed them to persevere despite feeling like outsiders. They also tend to be independent thinkers, questioning the status quo and challenging outdated beliefs.
They're the trailblazers, the one who dared to be different even when it wasn't popular or accepted.
And their courage paved the way for the generations that followed.
So how did the second wave, those born in the 60s and 70s, differ from the first wavers?
Second wavers tend to be more adaptable, more able to integrate into society, while still holding on to their unique energetic signature.
They're like undercover agents for the forces of light working their magic behind the scenes.
That's a great analogy. They're often drawn to careers that involve healing, teaching, or facilitating change in subtle ways.
They're the therapists, the artists, the writers, the ones who inspire us to connect with our hearts and expand our minds.
And they do it with a gentleness and compassion that can be incredibly powerful.
So we have the trailblazers of the first wave and the gentle guides of the second wave. What about the third wave, the new children born from the 1980s onward? They seem to have a very different energy.
Yes, third wavers often possess a natural knowingness and intuitive understanding of concepts that older generations might grapple with. They're also highly sensitive to energy and often have strong psychic abilities.
It's like they've come from a realm where these abilities are the norm.
Exactly, and they're here to help us remember and reclaim our own innate intuitive powers.
They're also incredibly tech-savvy, which makes sense considering the role technology is playing in our lives.
Cannon believed that technology could be a powerful tool for awakening and transformation, and that third wavers are here to help us use it wisely.
It's like they're the bridge between the physical and the digital, the material and the spiritual.
And they're not afraid to challenge the status quo, to push boundaries, to demand a world that aligns with their values of authenticity, transparency, and interconnectedness.
They're the disruptors, the innovators, the ones who are building a new paradigm based on love, unity, and conscious awareness.
And they're doing it with a fearlessness and determination that's inspiring to witness.
You know, as we're talking about these three waves, I'm realizing that these categories aren't rigid boxes. It's more like a spectrum of energy, and we might resonate with aspects of multiple waves.
Absolutely. It's not about trying to fit ourselves into a neat little category. It's about recognizing the unique blend of energies that make up our individual soul blueprint.
Right, we might be a first waver at heart with a dash of second wave compassion and a sprinkle of third wave innovation.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of it. We're all unique expressions of the divine, and we each have something special to contribute to the grand symphony of Earth's ascension.
This is giving me so much hope. It's like we're all in this together, each playing our part, co-creating a future filled with love, light, and conscious awareness.
And that collective effort, that shared intention, is what will ultimately propel us towards the new Earth.
Okay, so we've explored the characteristics and gifts of each wave, But I'm curious about the bigger picture. What are the signs that Earth's ascension is actually happening? And what does the end game look like?
Those are excellent questions, and they lead us to the heart of Cannon's vision, the concept of the new Earth.
Okay, tell me more. Paint me a picture of what this new Earth looks like.
Well, it's not about suddenly finding ourselves on a different planet. It's about transforming the planet we're already on, both physically and energetically.
So it's about raising the vibration of Earth itself.
Precisely. And that shift in vibration is reflected in everything from our individual consciousness to our collective systems and structures.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. But what are the tangible signs that this shift is actually happening?
One of the most obvious signs is the increasing awareness of interconnectedness. More and more people are waking up to the understanding that we're not separate individuals, but part of a larger web of life.
I've definitely noticed that. There's a growing sense of empathy, a desire to help others, a recognition that our actions impact the whole.
Exactly. And that awareness is driving positive change in many areas, from social justice movements to environmental activism to a growing interest in holistic health and spirituality.
So it's not just about meditating on a mountaintop. It's about taking action in the real world, making conscious choices that align with a higher vision.
That's right. It's about bringing those higher vibrations into our everyday lives, our relationships, our work, our communities. It's about embodying love, compassion, and unity in everything we do.
This is starting to feel less like a far-off dream and more like a tangible possibility. But I also have to admit it can feel overwhelming at times.
It's true. The challenges we face can seem daunting. But remember, we don't have to do it all alone.
Right, we have each other, and we have those volunteers who are actively working to raise the vibration.
Exactly. And they're not just ethereal beings floating around. They're embodied here on Earth, living their lives, raising their families, contributing to their communities, all while holding a higher vision for humanity.
That's inspiring. It makes me realize that we all have the potential to tap into that volunteer energy to be force for good in our own unique ways.
And the more individuals who step into that role, the more powerful the collective shift becomes.
It's like we're all holding hands, creating a chain of light that encircles the planet.
That's a beautiful image, and that chain of light is getting stronger every day as more and more people awaken to their true potential.
So how do we actually tap into that volunteer energy? What practical steps can we take to align with this higher vibration and contribute to the new Earth?
Those are great questions, and that's exactly what we'll be exploring in the next and final part of our deep dive.
Welcome back to the Timeless Wisdom Podcast.
It's great to be back.
We're wrapping up our deep dive into Dolores Cannon's 3 waves of volunteers.
And I'm excited to kind of bring it all together.
Yeah, we've explored who these volunteers are, their unique characteristics and missions, and how they're helping Earth ascend to a higher vibration.
We have.
We've also talked about the signs that this ascension is already happening.
Yeah, like,
The growing awareness of interconnectedness,
right.
the rise of consciousness movements, the shift towards more sustainable and compassionate living.
All evidence that we're moving in the right direction.
But now I'm curious about the practical side of all this.
You mean, like, how can we actually tap into that volunteer energy and contribute to the creation of the new Earth?
Exactly. We've talked about the big picture, but I want to know what I can do in my daily life.
Well, one of the most important things is to cultivate awareness, to become more conscious of our thoughts, our feelings, and actions.
Because remember, our energy impacts the collective.
That's right. Every time we choose love over fear, compassion over judgment, forgiveness over resentment,
Yeah.
we're adding to the light of the world.
It's like we're each holding a tiny candle, and the more candles we light, the brighter the room becomes.
Exactly. And it's not about being perfect or suppressing our negative emotions.
Right.
It's about acknowledging those feelings and then choosing a more positive and loving response.
It's about consciously shifting our vibration.
Yeah.
So what are some practical ways to do that?
Well, Cannon emphasizes the importance of connecting with nature.
Spending time in nature always makes me feel more grounded and peaceful.
Yeah, that's because it helps us align with the natural rhythms of the earth.
It's like we're plugging into a source of pure energy.
Uh-huh. Another powerful practice is meditation.
Meditation helps quiet the mind and allows us to connect with our inner wisdom.
Exactly. It's about creating space for stillness and reflection.
And don't forget about gratitude.
Oh, that's a good one. Gratitude is a powerful vibration. It helps us appreciate the good in our lives and attract more of it.
I've noticed that when I focus on what I'm grateful for, I feel lighter and more optimistic.
And that positive energy ripples out into the world.
So we've got connecting with nature meditation and gratitude.
What else?
Well, I know that Cannon talked about the importance of following our intuition.
Yes, intuition is that inner voice that guides us towards our soul's purpose.
It's about learning to trust that inner wisdom, even if it doesn't always make logical sense.
And sometimes our intuition might lead us to take action in the world.
Like getting involved in a cause we care about,
Yeah.
or starting a project that aligns with our values.
Exactly. It's about channeling our energy into something that makes a positive difference.
So it's not just about working on ourselves individually. It's about using our energy to create positive change in the world around us.
That's right. And that's where the concept of the volunteer comes full circle.
Okay?
It's not just about where our soul might have originated from. It's about embodying the qualities of a volunteer:
Oh, I like that.
compassion, service, and a desire to make a difference.
Yes.
And those qualities are within each and every one of us.
So even if we don't consciously remember choosing to be a volunteer,
Right?
we can still choose to live as one.
By aligning with our highest selves and contributing our unique gifts to the world.
Wow, this has been an incredibly insightful journey.
It has. It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you.
Dolores Cannon's work has given us a profound framework for understanding ourselves, our world, and our potential to create a brighter future.
And remember, dear listeners, the new Earth is not a destination. It's a journey. It's a process of conscious evolution that we're all participating in.
So embrace your unique gifts, shine your light, and let's co-create a world that reflects our highest aspirations.
A world filled with love, harmony, and interconnectedness.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive. If you're feeling inspired to learn more about Dolores Cannon and her work, we encourage you to check out her books and explore the vast resources available online.
And remember to like and subscribe to Monkey Mind Mechanics and the Timeless Wisdom podcast for more deep dives into fascinating topics that will illuminate your path and ignite your soul's purpose.